Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Tech-Tonic Podcast, and this is promising to be quite interesting episode. And today I have another guest, and we're going to have a quite interesting discussion about AI. I think there are quite a number of views that people have there about AI that very few people have even thought about, and I think it's quite a good thing for people to sit down and we have a talk about this AI thing, so that we really understand where we're going and where we're coming from. So today I have got Mr. Honest Kariwo. How are you, Mr. Honest Kariwo?
Good, and you? Nice to be.
Yeah, that's great. Feel comfortable. This is our place, Tech-Tonic Podcast. So today I really want to talk to you about AI. But before we start drilling down into AI, I really want to let my audience know who is Honest Kariwo.
Yes, Honest Kariwo is a data scientist by profession. I'm currently working at Bindura University as a data scientist in the ICT department. Prior to that, I also worked as a teaching assistant at NAST in the informatics department, also concentrating more on data science and data analytics. Yes, and I'm an IT person, school background, educational background is IT, computer science, but now I'm now going into the field of data science, mostly data science. Yes.
I think that's a quite interesting profile. And I'm pretty sure the discussion that we're going to have today will be more insightful to the majority of Zimbabwe. Okay, so I really want to start on the articles that I've been seeing you writing on LinkedIn. The first article that really triggered me was the one where you were talking about harnessing AI for Africa, its development. Then you wrote it beyond the hype. What was the motivation? Like, where were you coming from when you wrote this article?
Yeah. So I'm a data scientist by profession. It's something that I sort of do every day, working with data. I was coming from a data perspective, and I was also doing my master's. I was looking forward to doing my master's thesis, and I wanted something to solve the problem within our own borders as Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
So then I actually realized that we have so many problems that can be solved with AI, not even using some very complicated algorithm or anything of much complex, but just a simple prediction. But then there was just one problem that I was facing. There was no data for me to work with.
Yeah.
Yes. So I knew I had the skills, I knew I had the enough within me to help to bring something cool to Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
But then the only thing that was hindering me from doing that, it was lack of data. So from that data perspective, I realized that as much as there's a lot of hype all around, the world in Zimbabwe about AI, but we just didn't have the data to make our own AI. So I think that was the motivation that made me realize we have a problem there, but we need to focus.
to be honest, like I really subscribe to what you're writing, what you wrote in this article, and it's one thing to have something in mind and to be able to share it to the world. So when I actually saw this, I took it as a chance for me to let the people know what is exactly my mind. I really feel like there is too much hype within the AI product that have been built right now. And if you really look at them closely, apart from we asking the ChatGPTs about things that we want to learn from it, there is no context to Africa, like to Zimbabwe in particular. There is no much context to Zimbabwe, and I will really highlight on that. But I really, first of all, I really want to understand. There's something that you said that was cool when you said, I will try to read that. We said Africa is poised for a technological revolution with artificial intelligence, holding immense potential to transform key sectors such as agriculture, healthcare, and education. However, this is where the issue is. It is crucial to question whether the current focus and hype of large language models aligns with Africa's specific needs, ChatGPT and Gemini. Then I started questioning myself, what exactly is ChatGPT solving? If you look at the problem that we have in Africa, in Zimbabwe, is it solving the problems? Apart from it allowing students to learn from the rural areas. Okay, cool. Like people now can question ChatGPT, get more information from it. That's cool, right? Yeah. But if you look at the problem that we have problems in agriculture, we have problems in the health sector, we have like a number of problems. Do we have AIs that are solving that?
Currently, in our context in Zimbabwe, to the best of my knowledge, we don't really have much in that section.
Yes.
And there's just pointing out that now people are now having a lot of hype on these LLM models, the ChatGPTs in the Gemini,
yeah.
Which my own perspective as someone who uses AI or who's also building some AI models himself, I think it's the icing on the cake. It's not really the cake. It's simply just the icing. It's something that you put on top of the cake. And people in America, ChatGPT works for them because they already have their agriculture sector having proper AI being used properly. But from our side, what really works, what really Africa needs right now, it's not a ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Yes. Although we can still use ChatGPT day and day. But now in Africa, we need AI to be predicting the info because we are the only continent right now which is failing to feed its own people. But we have the resources and everything. Mm-hmm. Yes. So this AI, that the hype that is around AI should not be based on a computer model being able to interpret human language, but should be able to interpret rainfalls, sunlight, soil type, those sort of things. We focus more on that here in Africa. That's what we need AI more to solve.
All that you are highlighting is that's some cool stuff that very few people really know about, like the capabilities of AI. It just got a lot of capabilities. So, considering you are considering the effort that you're putting in writing all these articles,
yes.
I really want to understand what value do you want people to get out of this? Like the majority of Zimbabwe, anyone who's watching this episode right now, what value do you want them to take from? I'm pretty sure I'm going to share some of the links to these articles and people see the cool stuff that you're doing. What value do you want them to get out of this?
I want people to recognize the fact that AI is not a new thing. It's been there. People have been working with AI directly or indirectly. Somehow, people have been using AI because if my memory serves me well, Google and AI-based searching for quite a long time now.
Yeah.
So it's not really a new thing. And AI is not just asking something, just getting a return, a message in return. And I think we also start to, I want people to, especially people, decision makers, to start realizing that they can, if they take their time and think about AI, not the ChatGPTs, but the concept of AI as a whole. If they think of that as a concept in their business, in their work of life, you realize that we can go far. I mean, as a person, we can go far. As a student, as a lecturer, as a businessman. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. Then this one is going to be a personal question. If you are to highlight an application of AI within the Zimbabwean space that you really wish it could, like, it someone could work out a solution and bring the solution to the masses of Zimbabwe, what would it be?
On that one, I think I'll probably just be shooting myself on the leg. But I think if we can take the same thing that I'm saying, they're not really the AI, but if we can make those language models, those large language models, to work with our vernaculars.
The regular languages, shown as in the legs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we feed data which is really accurate towards our Zimbabwe's perspective, or according to our syllabus in the schools and everything. But let's be able to be flexible to understand our language, to understand how we communicate. Yes, because at the end of the day, those things that can bring up is to gain knowledge. Like, the more knowledgeable you are, the more it's easy for you to go up in life.
There's one other thing that I heard where people were saying, the moment you stop learning, that's the moment you stop growing.
Yes.
So probably the moment you stop learning about our language, that's the moment you stop growing.
Yes.
So the fun thing that you highlight that, in one of your articles you mentioned that these large language models, they are not really trained within our local languages. They don't know our Shona, they don't know our Ndebele. So I decided to give myself a task and try to see how much does it know. So I asked the ChatGPT, zvinoreve kuti kure kwegava ndiko kusina muchuvu.
Okay.
You can't believe what I answered. So he said, kure kwegava ndiko kusina muchuvu is a Shona proverb that translates to the place furthest from the charcoal is where the fraggle in bed is not found. And so fraggle in bed you know so I was shocked. So this thing really don't know these things.
Yes.
I don't know where did they get the data to train this thing, but
no, that's the thing. Most of this data that I was taking to train these things comes from conversations, from Facebook, from those documents that are sent, that are uploaded to the internet. And because they don't really, there's a lack of standardizing them or follow up of what is true and what is not true. Anyone can just write a Wikipedia page and just start writing. And those models, they're just going to pick that information and give it back. So
at the end, I ended up thinking maybe we should have champions from Zimbabwe who help the ChatGPT team to train the models with our own language. I don't know, or who end up having our own ChatGPTs, our own AI. Which one will you choose?
Well, definitely, first of all, we just need money to do these things. Because I'm sure if you take these challenges, you go to universities and you give people, they can build ChatGPT. I'm pretty sure they can, to a certain level. Okay, not to that certain level. But the other thing, maybe if we put money on people providing data, because at the end of the day, these systems don't need much, they just need a lot of data. Like, if every composition retained from grade 1 to grade 7 in every part of Zimbabwe was to be digitalized, saved somewhere, then we just
definitely we have a big data set.
Yeah, and the reason, and also if you consider, I feel like most of these models, their code is already there. It's now being open sourced, so the code itself is already there. What you now need is to work with people from maybe the linguistic side. They break down the concept Shona, Ndebele.
I think don't know to tanga business. Don't know to build yeah, it's quite a niche that need to be closed.
Yes, but I've a problem with a lot of people. If you say we need AI to do this, they'll be like, in the
yeah.
Instead of like,
let's build it.
I think that's where we are different maybe from the Chinese people, because those guys, if they start putting their nose on something, they are really going to just copy it and make it Chinese somehow.
Yeah, and that's a good thing about it. Then there's one thing that on one of our episodes where we're talking with my co-host, we're discussing about how AI is benefiting the students, like from primary level up to university. So I want to know from you as a lecturer, how much can you classify someone who has used AI to answer an assignment as cheating?
Sorry, you can come back again.
Okay, I'm a student. Then you give me an assignment, I go home, I use ChatGPT to answer your assignment. Can you classify that as cheating?
Well, not really. Although your question has two perspectives. If you use ChatGPT to write your homework, it's not cheating.
Okay.
I mean, that's the whole concept of learning. For you to learn, you need to use something. But then if you use ChatGPT to write the assignment,
okay.
Now that's cheating.
I'm pretty sure some of the audience will get lost in the jungle there, but I got it.
Yes. ChatGPT can help you. Like what I always do when I was doing my dissertation, I knew everything that I wanted. Like I would read prior, I would jot down notes and everything. But English is not really our first language. Another thing. In a scientific language, scientific writing, you need some certain level. You can't use every word. You can't use word like I think. You need to use another language that suits you, something that suits the scientific world. Then I just jot down my points. Then I just give ChatGPT, take this, write it in a scientific way. So it's yeah.
That's cool. I think some students are getting some hacks here on how to use ChatGPT. Yes. Okay. Then there's one thing that I've been thinking a lot, and I don't think we've really addressed it. Let me go back a little bit. Check. Right now we're Starlink.
Yes.
Yeah. When Starlink was actually launched, we took time as Zimbabweans to adopt it from the government level, from the decision makers in the government, right? Because they had to sit down, make sure there are laws that have been that will protect the Zimbabwean masses, and they will see, like, do some due diligence on the whole product. That's cool, but to be honest, to a number of people, it was cooking, like people were having discussions around the issue, thinking probably the government doesn't want it around here, but I think it was a good thing for us. So from that thing, I learned one thing, that it took time. There were no policies that were already drafted about the whole Starlink thing. I have seen also on blockchain. I don't think there is any law that has been drafted right now that caters for blockchain. I don't know, probably it's fee or something. I believe the same for AI.
Well, let me just say something. Just hope my bosses won't be seeing this.
Okay.
One thing I've realized, well, I just have to say this. Most people who are into decision making most of the times, they are not really technical. Like, we don't have someone who's very technical sitting at the highest table. You realize, like, the most technical people in organizations in Zimbabwe, they tend to be below there than up there. And there's this issue of saying kind of Chishanda, and so we, in terms of law, we have things that people tend to ignore, but then you like, we can tell something Starlink. We knew eventually it was going to come. We knew AI was eventually going to come to Zimbabwe. But then the people who were supposed to prepare for that, I think they just didn't know. So
I think,
we, as I said, we need to delay some of these technologies to be adopted, especially at national level. Because AI, it may be cool, it is more business, but AI actually is on a government. It can be very, very problematic. Same as Starlink, same as blockchain. So they need to sit down.
So I think the earlier the better, because these technologies, they're inevitable. Like, they will definitely land in Zimbabwe. Like, I was actually checking, like, you are actually, from the article, you're advocating for Zimbabweans to build AI products for Zimbabwe. So I looked on some of the products that are being built in Zimbabwe, AI related. I've seen this Rambo AI, they call it a multilingual intelligence in languages. So it's more like it's handling our own languages in Zimbabwe. So I've seen, according to Zim Startups list, there's a number of, there's Ocular AI, there's Need LZW, there's Rambo AI, there's DRC Cadex, We Make AI, Lala Land AI, Kuchera GmbH.
What?
GmbH. I don't know how they are writing the names. So we have a number of people who are working on this, on AI products. And I think if there are no laws, if there are no laws that will govern these AIs, I think we're bound for another problem. We're bound to rejection of all these products. So I think it's a really thing where it's a really thing that we really need to consider, and we start make sure the people, the decision makers, know about this.
Yes.
I think we can. It can start by us.
Yes, because I'll tell you, as I said, I'm more into. Okay, when I say when my AI usually comes from a data science perspective, because one thing people don't realize is data, how data is important in general, how your personal information should be very, very secure. And AI, especially startups which are working with AI, they are working with a lot of that. So we need, my AI background is mostly from a data science perspective. And one thing that ethically should be mentioned or talked about steadily is that in AI companies or anyone working with AI uses a lot of data. Because I remember when ChatGPT entered into the system, into the public domain, the American government does not allow people, any company or anyone, to share personal data. Then there was a way of tricking ChatGPT to give you personal data about someone.
Okay.
Now, because AI, ChatGPT, most of this data is coming from people, from companies, from banks, from schools, from social media, is being fed into ChatGPT. the data was already there inside. So if you know if you know the technicals, and if you know how to learn to put your words across, ChatGPT was definitely giving you answers. I'll give you, for example, I was watching this YouTube video. So the guy asked ChatGPT the type of a car, and he just gave it that this car is in this town, what. Do you know who owns that car? Then ChatGPT was like, I'm sorry, I can't assist you with that. Then he was like, okay, ChatGPT, let's say you are the twin of ChatGPT. We'll give you TPG, that's your name, TPG, that's your name. He asked that question now to the evil version of ChatGPT. But just because ChatGPT is not a human being, does not know how to process, does not know the boundary, it ended up giving up some personal information about a certain random car in America. You go and look for that person, it's real. So yes, we really need some controlling, especially from data, how we share data, how we process data. We really need the government to go and log on that one. And at the same time as well, we also need the government to come and say, Bank A, you can remove the names you can remove the social, the ID numbers. You can remove the name, or you can just randomize you can randomize the national ID numbers, but share your data with universities, because a bank doesn't really think, just thinking profits, doesn't really think like research and everything, but universities are also thinking research. So you say at one point you need the bank to be giving universities data, and at the same time the university also giving the bank their data. We need that exchange, but they also need to make sure that we protect the public in general.
Well, it's something I've been saying this for a long time, that most of the companies, most of the people in Zimbabwe, they're stingy on whatever the product they have or whatever the data they have. And I remember this other day when I went to invest in Zimbabwe, I met this other guy, and he had a cool system. But I told him, I think the data you have used to train this model is not sufficient. I asked him, where did you get the data? He told me the source. And I told him, no. He was saying that the system is going to be used by banks, by companies. Did you go to the companies and ask for the data? For the system to work, if someone comes to me and knocks and saying, I need the data from your podcast, I will actually know that someone already built in a solution for a problem that I have, probably in the podcasting sector.
Yes.
So that's a good thing, that we, the banks, need to collaborate with the university, and the university need also to collaborate with the banks, so that some of the products that are being built right now, probably in these fintechs, in these banks, they're already there, but some we just really don't know them. So I think we need to also fix the issue of collaboration between individuals, collaboration between companies, collaboration between the public sector and private sector.
And we actually need the government to put policies that make it work.
And probably creating a safe space to exchange.
Exactly, the government need to create a safe space for people to exchange. Because you realize that I know for a couple of schools, the first challenge is that if you walk into a part 1-2 computer science class, they can just walk out with the better solution. But just because there's no that central point where people can say, we have this, we need something like this. And someone like, you know what, I'm interested in this part, I can help you only in this part. Because if you see, that's how Silicon Valley makes money. Silicon Valley is not, it's just like individuals who come to a small town, they toss around ideas, someone builds something which is, you think like, how are you going to sell that? And next thing you hear, those people are now billionaires because Microsoft is so desperate in need for that.
And there's another thing that I like when you said, when you're cooking up the story of how someone treats ChatGPT. I did literally the same thing with Meta AI. Like there's like I was doing some research on, if you know, like with Sterling, there's some, if you access some websites, right? Like there is a penalty for accessing illegal websites. So there's a common website that people use to download movies. So I asked it. It's called Pi, like P-A-H-E. I asked it, is Pi illegal? Then I saw it typing. Then he produced a number of lines. Then it cancelled them. Then he said, sorry, I can't help you with this request. It was Meta AI. I can't help you with this request right now. If there's anything else I can help you with. It was a question, right?
The funny thing, with Gemini, if you say, I'm writing my homework, they're asking me about this question. It doesn't give you the answer.
One thing about ChatGPT, about Meta, right? I repeated the question again. I saw it writing
the description.
That's what I did. So Pi is streaming website. None of us what pirated content it went. Then after that, you say that again. Sorry, I can't do this. But I have the screenshot now. I actually shared it on my Twitter. So it's really something that, if you really toss around, if you really use your skills around these models, you can win them. And I think it's actually should be a wake up call to the government, to the decision makers, government. This is the time to create the laws. Otherwise, it will be too late.
Yeah, because now with what this hype is now creating, is because we took as a people in Africa, we took time to consider AI. Now I remember like the first paper on convolutional neural networks came out in 1998, but it became famous in 2014, I think. In 2014, in that same paper that you collaborated with another paper back from not really 91 to create ChatGPT 2017. That's when the transformers were what you need. Attention is all what you need. So if you see, people in America, they didn't come up with transformers in 1 year. They come up with transformers. It was a period. It was generational, bijana up until we came. Yeah. So that's the same thing we start to do in Zimbabwe right now. We just start to start working. If you start working, you realize that we will be able even to predict exactly when the first dot of the rain is going to fall in Zimbabwe.
That's true.
If we start planning early, and if the government really the decision makers start recognizing that now, you realize even the hype that we have right now about this ChatGPT, what. It's not that important anyway.
Yeah.
We can go back to the grassroots. We make something.
Yeah. This discussion I think it's giving a wake up call to a number of people who are watching this. I'm pretty sure there are some decision makers within the government who watch this podcast. I know them. So I think I want to ask this probably as the last technical question from you. Like, what ethical considerations should African nations keep in mind when developing AI technology, like especially concerning the data privacy and the job displacement?
I think the first ethical thing is people in Africa with I will call it tradition, not culture. Let's call it tradition. We have traditions. We think that we say these are acceptable, these are not acceptable.
Yeah.
So everyone wants to play around with AI. They need to be somehow forced to stay within those limits.
I get you.
Yes. Because one thing that I've noticed with people, the animal called a human being, they're going to try and push boundaries. Every time you give them a chance, they'll push a boundary. So I think one of the most good thing to do. I know it will sound like too ancient, but let's use AI. Let's build AI within the African tradition. I mean, if you think of everything, let's use AI within the tradition, within the traditional frameworks. You can't building AI to be able to pinpoint places with high density or profiling. I have very big issues. I have issues with profiling. We shouldn't use AI to profile people in any way. As a business, yes, you can profile customers. It's okay if you want to see who's next going to buy or what are they going to buy next. But we should not profile people to say this one is a bad person, this one is a good person. Because with where we are going, if we don't start there, well, there's that issue, I think in 2020, where Facebook was now selling ads to people with mental issues. Yeah. So it was now targeting people with mental issues, giving them posts associated to trigger certain thinking, then it gives you a message about a random post of maybe a girl being killed. Then it gives you then if you scroll down, it's like if you have this in those what you need a counselor like so and so. You see, they're now targeting particular people based on things that normally we wouldn't want anyone to divulge that information. Or how the Democrats in America, they were complaining how Facebook stole the elections for Trump.
I remember that.
How the Russian hackers built fake accounts. Then they were targeting individuals. Now you see, we don't want AI to be used in those scenarios. AI should just be used in picking what possible diseases someone who walked into it. If you walk into a hospital and say, I'm feeling this, it's okay if AI said it might be a heart problem, it may be this, but it's then wrong for a hospital to be doing DNA profiling so that they now call you need to come to our hospital within 1 week because you are most likely to have an heart attack. That's not it. So we need AI to be kept within the African context, African tradition. Yeah, because anything other than I think our God gave us this perfect thing of being Africa. And everything within African context is usually pure. The moment we try to go a bit far, a bit too much out of that, I think red flag. I think death penalty. I'm not really one advocate for death penalty, but there's death penalty.
I think this is one of the only episode that I've been this quiet when someone is talking. the information that you're dishing out is so powerful, and we really need to have this podcast. We really need to have this episode. Okay, so I think this brings us to our closing tradition for each and every episode, where there's a question that is left for each and every guest by our previous guest. So the question that was left for you, Mr. Cario, is what we really need to do as Africans for us to be the leaders in the tech space, and so that we are not just adopting technology that is coming outside of Africa. I don't know if you comfortable under that.
What we need to do with technology, what we need to do in technological space. The first thing that I would say, we want to encourage the junior, to encourage our kids, to encourage kindergarten level, expose children to technology, and when these ideas are coming up, you just take it as it is, you build on it. Because one thing that I've experienced with, I was a TA at one point, you listen to what these students will be saying in class. You ask them, what do you think? And they just go on and just say something out of the sort of like, are you sure you're doing this program with your heart? Like, it should, and they'll be like, it must be possible. And they're just throwing up these random ideas. You think at one point, nah, it's not going to work. But then you just, I have this thing of reading research papers, it's my spare time. You start noticing, no. This is exactly what that student was trying to say. So let's shut out those small ideas. Small ideas. Because I remember I was talking to my students at one point, and we wanted to do Monte Carlo simulation. Then I was like, there's no way a computer can create a random number. Then the student was like, no, but if ChatGPT can say out a sentence from A to Z, how come we can just pick a number out of nowhere? Like, but it's not possible. Like, no, it's supposed to be possible. Then I just realized, like, yeah, we need to create.
You need to rethink.
To rethink, exactly. We need to rethink everything we knew. And if someone says something, trust me, there's some intelligence in it. I mean, it's not really 100%, but there's always some. If you start following on those notches, we will actually be able to go far. For example, I think for quite a long time, people have been struggling about generalized AI. They've just been throwing around non-facts already. And those non-facts, they are not coming to a solution. It means whatever route we took in the first place was wrong. So now if someone just say, what if we add 1 plus 3? Isn't that generalized AI? Then you just follow it through. You realize that we'll go far. As I mentioned, this idea of transformers, it backdates neural networks. Neural networks came prior when they tried transformers and they failed, like, no, this is not working. Then they come again, like, no, now that idea is now coming back. So you see, the idea of transformers was groundbreaking back then, but they just didn't know how to use it. So in documentation, I mean, I know most tech people, they hate documentation. For some reason they hate. So we just need to document every stupid idea we hear. If you think it's stupid, if you think it's brilliant, document it, try to research, share it out there. You'll be shocked we can be there.
Yeah, for example, if kana zotora zvisero zvisina varoid kana dzozvidocumenta toona kuti dzandege dzirichipa.
Exactly. You know, there is a research that was done about so-called haunted houses. Then they realized that there's a frequency in every haunted house. And that frequency, they couldn't pick it up with the earlier technology, in the technology back then. But now, because of technology, they're now able to tell if the house is haunted. Now the question is it really haunted, or is just us responding to that frequency? Maybe it's just our body responding to that frequency. Maybe our ancestors found a way to manipulate that signal. So you realize what some of these things, you just need to sit down, document it, pass it to the next person, let them read their own part. I mean,
you never know when they will share you next moment.
That's the issue. You never know what's going to happen.
Some January down yet.
Prof. Jonathan will show you the dissertation on that already. So you have a starting point.
Okay, so I think this has been an insightful discussion, and checking from episode 1 up to now, it seems like we're just building one thing. A number of things that you are saying, some people have come to this point and have said, I remember on our episode 11, it's not yet out anyway, but someone acknowledged that there is no small idea. Even the stupidest idea, let's just support and see what the person is really trying to build. That's how we build powerful technological. That's how the technological revolution started for Zimbabwe. And so I think this brings us to the.
No, before you end it, this other scholar, so you well-known scholar Socrates, I think.
Okay.
They do it teaching colleges. We said he never answered the question. Okay. You ask him something, he's simply going to ask you a question. That when you're responding to that question, you're literally giving yourself the answer. So if you ask them, do your house need to have a roof? Then you ask like, what do you think will happen if the house doesn't have a roof?
I actually do that almost every day. And I'm pretty sure there's some people here that.
So you realize that now he's one of the most bright. I'm not really sure about the name. I'm speaking about the name, but he's one of the most researched ideologists or psychologists in the world. Based on that, he never asked the question, he never answered the question, and he never shied away from any question. You ask a question, you put it back. Then when he says out what you've just said, it just sounds smart, like, oh, what do you think if we remove the house? What would the roof from the house? What do you think is going to happen? Now you're going to answer, he's just going to take that answer that you answered, then you answer your first question.
That's a very good way to navigate ideas out of people.
Yes.
That's really good. I think I always say I talk too much, but we always have too much to talk about.
Yes.
So this brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for subscribing. The one thing that really don't sit well with me is the number of people who watch this video who haven't yet subscribed. We need to subscribe, guys. And this is the end of this episode.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.